Well, thank you much for such a warm welcome. As you've heard, that I actually work at Fenland District Council, and one of my roles there is around cohesion and integration issues. I also chair our Diverse Community Forum, which I'll be mentioning later, because I've got some familiar faces in the audience, which I will highlight. As other people have named people, I will name and shame and thank them for all the work that they've done. But I really, really do know that I am now all that stands between everyone here and lunch. So I will make sure that that's kept quiet. But I hope, like myself, you did find that all the speakers I've heard this morning have absolutely been so passionate, it's infectious. And it makes anybody, in my opinion, want to go out and do more to end this absolutely horrendous issue. And I'm sure through reading the great work that Gary's done, speaking to Anita and other people, people can look to see some of the interventions that we can do. Steve mentioned earlier about Fenland and where it is. So from the map, you can see that to the east of us is, what would I say? Oh, that's got to be Kings Lynn. To the west of us is Peterborough. South Cam's at the top, and going a little bit further down, we've got Ely, which Sarah mentioned earlier, and Cambridge. But I think what's missing is the fact that really, amongst areas that we hear of there, Fenland is not only a very rural area, just 30-odd miles away from Cambridge, but it's a different world. It's just so deprived, and a number of people don't really recognise that unless you've been there. So now I've got to give the plug to you. Please go to Fenland. It is such a nice place. I'm sure that you'll enjoy it. You know, if you go to Wisbeach, which we'll mention, or I'll mention, and others will today, you know, it's got some fantastic Georgian architecture. You might like it so much that you want to stay. And that's what we have found for a number of people. So, it was mentioned a little bit earlier that about 15 years ago, we started to experience inward migration. It was really on an unprecedented and unforeseen scale. For those that don't know Fenland, and again I'd say please do come and see us, but this is an area where a lot of British Commonwealth migration in the past just didn't happen. It bypassed people. So you've got to bear in mind that when we saw a lot of Eastern, and now a lot of people would say that's moved a little bit further forward, so we got Central and Eastern European inward migration, this was just so new to people, they just didn't know how to cope. You know, some of the people were really shocked if they had somebody that moved in 20 miles away to come into the area. So for this was really challenging. And it did cause, you won't be surprised to know, some frictions, some tensions between these newly experienced people and certainly the local Indigenous people. And there's some of the examples of some of those tensions that are there. I think, again, just to give you a flavour of some of the things, I've touched on mentioning Wisbeach. This was an area where diversity didn't really happen 15 years ago. It just wasn't there, and I can see Keith laughing. He's a good man from there, and he knows exactly what I'm saying. But now, if you go to the town, we've got anywhere between a third to half of the population are from a Central or Eastern European background. And you imagine going into any town, whether it be rural, a city town or anything, and having that massive churn and input into the area. It leads to challenges. So we can see in the area that the inward migration has led to a lot of benefits, certainly in the UK food production and packaging. And a lot of people, as you say, when you come to Fenland, and please do to look at it, when you come there, you will see that we are one of the bread baskets of the country. We are making food that goes across to everywhere in the UK and certainly beyond. So when I say that the people there are making an impact in the food industry, that reflects each and every one of us. We're also a town, though, that had one of the largest Brexit votes, and we've seen Steve down here earlier, still the Secretary of State for Brexit, so he's there. But, you know, he's in an area where nearly 75% of those that voted for Brexit. But That's not uncommon, roughly, in our area, because if you look at the wash areas, that's in keeping, and that's where a lot of people have moved in, and it's certainly given us some issues. So what we needed to do, we needed to go out and work in partnership. We've already heard that people cannot do things on their own. Our partnership is made up from people in the statutory, the third sector, faith sectors, housing and education, as well as health and well-being. So we've gone out and encompassed all. From that, we've also got very good links into businesses, so we talk to the businesses. I would like to say that I'd like to see them engage a little bit more, but this is all work in progress, and these are things that we haven't finished. So we'll be looking to do that. So I've given you a little flavour of the challenges we've had earlier, and now I would like to thank a few people. I'd certainly like to thank Anita for everything that she's done on her projects. Absolutely marvellous. A range of them made a difference. And Keith. I'd really like to thank Keith as well. Done some fantastic work addressing a number of issues around homelessness, education, bringing people in. They're key people in our diversity forum that I respect, as they know. We all get on, and I heard Keith say only the other day that we're a partnership that's a little bit different to others because we get on and we actually make things happen, and we're not precious about things. We see who is the partner, is the best person to deliver, and they will go out and deliver that. And in doing that, we make sure that what resource we have goes forward and actually counts and makes a difference, and there's not a lot of duplication on that. So when we saw that the government had launched the funding stream, the Controlling Migration Fund, we could see that this was something that we could work with, and we could certainly build up some of our work to do that. So again, to thank someone else, I'd like to thank John. No, don't look at the floor, John. No, I'd like to thank you and all your colleagues, and I'd like you to take back my deep felt thanks to them all, because I know that sometimes I've probably been a bit of a pain, keep coming on asking for that, because we in Fenland have actually won more bids than any other authority in the UK. And I think that the ministry see that, they were needed. We're a place that's got the issues, and what we were doing was joined up. And I think that's the strength of what we're doing. We had seen that all these things were like a jigsaw to make the picture and keep working. And obviously we know that things don't happen overnight, and we need to continue doing that. So I've already had a word with John and said that we'll be looking forward to hopefully some continuation funding, which will always go down well in our area. This is some of the projects that we have in place. So you can look across there and you can see that there's a number of issues that are looking at exploitation, including substandard housing, other enforcement issues on street drinking, but also practical and pastoral work. And we're also looking at finding out more about people. Rachel is sitting down there, who's done some really good work with the East of England Local Government Association. So thanks to Rachel and Celia. Because basically we're going out and we're looking across the region to find out more about Roma people. Gypsy travellers are often excluded, and Jake, sitting up the back, has done some phenomenal stuff on that, and he's too modest to say, but he's probably made such a difference to people's lives that it's there. But we still need to look at other things, and the Roma community is not one that's really understood. And if you look in other parts of the country, what you actually get is that you will have a group of Roma from one particular country will be very prominent in a town. In the east of England, we have a variety of people mixing in, and this in itself brings different challenges, access to services, other issues there. So again, we're looking at that, seeing what we can do, sharing good learning, and Rachel has events, which I'm sure you can look at on the East of England Local Government Association website, which you can come along to do, and it's got to be great. But also, some of this work in investor spend has actually really brought forward really significant savings to the public purse. And I think that that's one of the things that will soon be highlighted as our projects draw to an end and we do research reports. People will be highlighting some of those savings, and it's quite mind-blowing just how much money's there. So yes, we might have had good funding, but I think that's been repaid, and there'll be good learning for other people to look at to see how people can take that forward. So again, I am mindful that lunch is there, so I promise I won't go on too much longer. But I have mentioned about our inward migration. This still continues. Where people will say, no, this isn't happening, we are seeing a lot of inward migration still coming. We're seeing a change, though, to some of the people that are coming in. Some of the people that we used to see were very highly educated, had transferable skills. Now we've got a lot of people that are with high needs, high demands, and certainly coming from some countries such as Bulgaria and Romania. So we really are seeing some changes to the way we need to address that. But we don't want to be caught out again. We really don't, because we were caught, as every other authority was, with the volumes of people that came in, but we want to be a little bit on the front foot. So what we're looking to do, and have done, and you'll hear about after lunch, so you can now see how I've joined it up, hopefully, to end, we will hear about our migrant workers statistical data research that's gone on and some of the issues there. So all I can say to that is I really look forward to that. Thank you for listening to me, and I hope you enjoy your lunch. Thank you very much.